Welcome to Commander for Dummies and welcome to Girudo, where you are never alone. Today, I need you to stay tuned. I need you to listen up because we are going to talk about 10 essential Dimir cards that you need in your favorite commander deck. Now, Dimir is the color combination of blue and black. So if you're a blue and black player, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to the information that is about to come your way. And not only am I going to go over the top 10 essential Dimir cards, like always, we always underpromise and overdeliver. I'm going to give you a ton of bonus content. But I suppose I have to do a little bit of an introduction. My name is Bobby Maximus. You might know me from Muscles and Magic the Gathering. And I am a content creator, a content developer here at Girudo. And one of the things that I wanted to do when I started making these videos is giving new commander players a roadmap on how to enjoy the game more, on how to make the game better. And even though this series was aimed at beginners, it turns out there's a lot of intermediate and even pro-level players that get a lot from this type of content. So no matter who you are, no matter where you are, stay tuned because I promise you there will be at least one or two or five things you can take from this video that will help improve your favorite commander deck. Now, before we get to the top 10, I promised you some bonus content. So let's get down to business. And we are going to start with lands. Lands aren't sexy. They're not flashy. People seem to overlook lands, but the foundation of a good commander deck is your land base. Now, recently, I've reworked all my commander decks. As it stands right now, I have 67 full commander decks, and I have 5 in development. And the number that I've settled on is 38 lands for each commander deck. Now, that might seem like a lot, but it's really not. And if you were to look at various probability tables, you will see that by second, third, fourth, fifth turn, if you're not playing with 38 to 40 lands, the probability of you hitting your land drop drops dramatically. So that's why we're starting with lands. And when it comes to Dimir, there's some really good dual type lands. We have the Underground River, all right? It's one of those pain lands. You tap it, you add a colorless, or you can pay a life and you can add a blue or a black. Now, if you don't have an Underground Sea, the ultimate dual land, and I'm lucky enough to have a couple of them, this, in my opinion, is the next best choice, especially if you're on a budget. Great card. From Murders at Karlov Manor, and I think that was a really underrated set, Undercity Sewers. Undercity Sewers enters the battlefield tapped, and when Undercity Sewers enters the battlefield, surveil 1. This is super useful in terms of card cycling, but also in a graveyard deck where you want to mill stuff into your graveyard and then try to get a card back. One of the best rare land cycles I've ever seen. The Morphic Pool. Morphic Pool enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Now, a lot of times in a game of Commander, you're playing a 4-person pod. This is a huge, huge addition to your deck. The Dimir Guildgate, it enters the battlefield tapped. I don't like that so much, but it still will come in handy. You had a blue or a black. The Dimir Aqueduct, it enters the battlefield tapped. When Dimir Aqueduct enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. But then when you tap it, you can add 2 mana. This becomes really, really useful in the late game. The Dark Slick Shores. Dark Slick Shores enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. Love seeing this in my opening hand. Polluted Delta. You know this had to be included. Pay 1 life, sacrifice Polluted Delta. Search your library for an island or swamp card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. The Watery Grave. As Watery Grave enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped. I will almost always pay the 2 life for that. Listen, in a game of Commander, and I want you to get this through your head, you have 40 life. Life is a resource. That's a lot of life. I will always pay to do this. And if this is 1A, if that's the 1A replacement for the Underground Sea, I'm going to call this 1B, and sometimes I flip-flop depending how I'm feeling that day. We have the Drowned Catacomb. Drowned Catacomb enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island or a swamp. I love seeing this in my opening hand along with a swamp or an island. And then we have the Shipwreck Marsh. The Shipwreck Marsh enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. All right, so those are some great choices for Dimir dual type lands, especially if you don't have the Underground Sea, the original, the OG dual land. All right, and those are really, really hard to come by, especially for most players. I'm actually going to look it up. I didn't pull it for the video, but I'm going to look. I've got it in my Dragon deck, and I'm going to tell you the value of an Underground Sea right now. It is going for, let me see where it is and where I have it here. Let me look. Maybe it's not in my Dragon deck. I've actually got it in my Zombie deck, not my Dragon deck. And the Underground Sea, man, you're looking at the version I have for it, $2,000. Sometimes I can't even keep track of where I keep my lands. But just looking online, the cheapest you're going to get for an Underground Sea is Revised. And you're looking at about $1,000. So that's a big, big, big ticket item. So again, if you need a replacement for the Underground Sea, we are going to look at the Underground River or the Watery Grave. That is another great one, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, lands are done. Let's talk about some honorable mentions. And I had to include this, being a little bit selfish, but it can be a useful card. My newest commander build, I'm proud to announce I am building a Nazgul deck, and I wanted to include this card. Flying, wraiths you control have protection from ring bears. And here's the important part about this card. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 3/3 black wraith creature token with menace. Then, if you control 9 or more wraiths, wraiths you control base power and toughness 9/9 until the end of turn. Now, obviously, that's the commander that you're going to go with when you're building Nazgul, right? But I'm looking up some additional cards right now. And earlier, I was looking for some cards to build this with. And if you have this in a deck that has a lot of instants, I want to show you something here. You cast a Remand. You get one of those 3/3 Black Wraith tokens. You have Spell Pierce. You're going to get one of those 3/3 Wraiths. Dramatic Reversal. You're going to get a 3/3 Wraith. Negate. You're going to get a 3/3 Wraith. Brainstorm. You're going to get a 3/3 Wraith. Opt. You're going to have a 3/3 Wraith. Etherize. You're going to get a 3/3 Wraith. Think Twice. You're going to get a 3/3 Wraith. And I don't know how many times I can say that, but all these cards, especially if you're playing a deck with a lot of instants and sorceries, you have Lord of the Nazgul on the battlefield, preordained. There's a great card. You're going to create all kinds of wraiths. This card can get problematic in a hurry for people. Next one up, Criddle Baldur's Gate. You can see these in sleeves. These are actually cards that I play with. But the big thing about this card, I use it in my Rogues deck, is whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn. If you can make a creature unblockable, that's a massive advantage in a game of Commander. So there's an honorable mention. Whispering Madness. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. So another great card, kind of a wheel effect there. Absolutely love it. Fallen Shinobi. It's got ninjutsu. Return an unblocked attacker you control the hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking, so you can get it out for a really low mana cost, if you will. And then whenever Fallen Shinobi deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library. Until the end of turn, you can play those cards without paying their mana cost. You can go after other people's best stuff. Great card, and honestly, an auto-include in the Ninja deck, obviously, like a Yuriko deck. But I found myself using it in a lot of other decks as well. And along the same line, Satoru the Infiltrator. This came from the Outlaws at Thunder Junction. It's got Menace, which means it's going to be hard to block. Whenever one or more other non-token creatures enter the battlefield under your control, or this enters the battlefield under your control, if none of them were cast or no mana was spent to cast them, draw a card. So if you've got a way to bring cards out onto the battlefield without using mana, this will be a massive card draw engine. I absolutely love that card. So those are our honorable mentions. Now, let's get down to business with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Dimir cards, essential cards you absolutely need in your favorite commander deck. Now, there are some people online that make fun of me because some of the suggestions I make are rather simple, right? Like the Dimir Signet, that comes in at number 10. You're going to pay 2, then you can pay to bring it out, then you pay 1, and then you can add a blue and a black mana. Seems really simple. There's a lot of these old school gatekeepy type players that are like, oh, like I didn't know about the Dimir Signet. There are a lot of people who I've met, beginners and intermediate players, that do not have enough mana ramp in their decks. It's a card that they forget about. And I think that people forget about these cards because basically they're commons, right? Like you can get these for super, super cheap. Kind of like the Soul Ring, kind of like the Arcane Signet, but do not overlook the mana ramp in a game of Commander is absolutely everything. And whenever I build a deck, you know that I'm going to include a card like this. I'm currently constructing my Yuriko deck. I'm currently constructing a Lord of the Nazgul deck. And you better believe the first cards that I'm looking at are the Soul Ring, the Arcane Signet, the Dimir Signet, and yes, the Talisman of Dominance. I think because talismans are included in like every precon ever, people overlook them, right? And they underrate them. But trust me, mana base in a game of Commander is everything. There's an argument for putting these 1 and 2 for the important Dimir cards. No joke. So the Talisman of Dominance, you're going to pay 2 to cast it. Then you pay, you don't pay, you tap it, you add a colorless mana, or you can tap it and add a blue and a black. It deals 1 damage to you. I don't know which one is better. There's debates on the internet going back a long time about which one's better, a Signet or a Talisman. I call them 1A and 1B, kind of like how I compare Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile. I would honestly just include both in any Dimir deck that I am building. Number 3, Drown in the Loch. And I had to show you this Beholder's Fear Ray. I love D&D. It's a D&D Secret Layer version of this card. All right. Choose 1. Counter target spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. Destroy target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in a controller's graveyard. So maybe you don't want this in your turn or in your hand turn 1, but as the game goes on and those graveyards fill up, this becomes a super versatile counterspell and removal spell. And here's another thing, and I'm talking to me when I say this, and I've played a lot of years, you don't have enough removal in your Commander deck. It's one of the things I see all kinds of people mess up. So Drown in the Loch, it is a huge, huge card in Dimir. Next one up, Consuming Aberration. And this is one of the mainstays in my Rogue deck, my Anawan the Rune Thief deck, if you will. Look at this. Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. You're playing a 4-person game. This is an absolute monster. And whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card, then puts those cards on into their graveyard. Sometimes the mill cards, you got to combo them up. This will mill cards themselves because whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of the library until they reveal land. So you can grow this on their own. And then imagine how big this thing is. And you pair that with a Criddle at Baldur's Gate to make it unblockable. This has been a game ender in so many situations for me. I absolutely love this card. The next one, Ring Sight. Now, back up a little bit. There are 3 keys to a game of Commander. I've already hammered you on mana ramp and the importance of the Signet and the Talisman. Yes, but there's 2 other areas you can improve your Commander deck right now. Number 1, card draw. You need more card draw. Card draw is everything. Cards are resources. The more you can draw, the better the chances you are going to win. The next one, Ring Sight. Now back up a little bit. There are 3 extremely important aspects to building a very strong Commander deck, a very capable Commander deck, if you will. I've already hammered the first, mana ramp. You need more mana ramp. That's why I included the Signet and the Talisman in this list. The other two are card draw. Card draw is a massive resource in a game of Commander. The more cards you're going to draw, the greater your chances that you are going to win. All right, that is a hard and fast rule of the game of Commander. But the third one is tutors. You need more tutors. You got to go get your cards. You got to go get your combos. There are times you need a piece from your deck, and you have to be able to go get it. Tutors help. This is a great Dimir tutor. The Ring tempts you. It's from Lord of the Rings, obviously. Search your library for a card that shares a color with a legendary creature you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. All you need is, in a Dimir deck, a legendary creature like Criddle, like Satora, that has the Dimir color signature, and you can go get any card you want in your deck and put it in your hand. It acts like a demonic tutor. This is the best Dimir tutor there is. I would definitely include it in my deck. And some people are scared off by the legendary creatures things. I promise you, you're going to have tons of legendary creatures in your deck. Now we're getting to the real heavy hitters. We're looking at the top 5. First one here, Psychic Frog. And truthfully, I'm going to be real with you, right? I pride myself as being one of the realest Magic the Gathering collectors and players on the planet. These top 5, we could literally shuffle these and put these in any order. They are so good. But here we have the Psychic Frog. Whenever Psychic Frog deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card again. There's that card draw mechanic. You can discard a card, which helps you to fill your graveyard, and you can put a 1/1 counter on Psychic Frog, and you can do that as many times as you want in a turn at instant speed. And then if you exile 3 cards from your graveyard, Psychic Frog gains flying until the end of turn. It makes it really, really hard to block. This is a super powerful card in any deck that you're going to build. Trust me on that. And a lot of times the graveyard, it's like a second hand, right? You can use it as a resource. So get yourself a Psychic Frog. The Baleful Strix, flying, death touch, and when Baleful Strix enters the battlefield, draw a card. For a casting cost of 2 to get something with flying and death touch, it's going to act as removal because you block somebody's creature, they're going to die, and you can draw a card. It is absolutely incredible. You'll hear people on the internet throw around the term cantrip. It's a card that can do a couple of different things. I don't like those terms. I think they can be really confusing to new players. Just hear me out on this. The more cards you have that do multiple things, the better chances you are going to have to win. So the Baleful Strix. Sig River Cutthroat. And I was actually shocked at how much this card goes for right now. I'm going to pull up my computer here. This is in my Rogues deck. So let me take a look right now at this. Here we go, the Rogues Gallery. Sig right now is listed at $12.99. The value of this is shot through the roof. It's an incredible card. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent has lost 3 or more life this turn, you may draw a card. You sensing a theme here? Mana ramp, tutors, card draw, card draw, card draw, card draw, card draw. Sig the River Cutthroat is massive when it comes to card draw. So get yourself one of these cards, all right? At the very least, you only pay 2 mana for it. You can play a blue or a black, so it's not that hard to get out. And you get a 1/3. So just a fantastic card. The last 2 on the list are Planeswalkers. And in my opinion, they are 2 of the best Planeswalkers ever. Why? Well, actually, not the last 2 is a Planeswalker. I made a mistake. The last one is not a Planeswalker. I was getting excited. I was going to include Narset, the Parter of Veils, in here, but obviously it's not a Dimir card. If you have a blue deck, make sure you put a Narset in it. But this next card, Ashiok Dream Render. It costs 3 mana. Spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their controller to search their library. I just went on and on and on about the importance of mana ramp. I went on and on about card draw. I went on and on about tutors. Remember talking about ring sight? This shuts somebody else's ability to tutor right down. Like a stacks piece, whatever you want to call it. I would include this in a deck just for that, because if my opponents can't tutor, the chances of me winning go through the roof. And the final card, no, not a Planeswalker. I misspoke on that, but one of the greatest Dimir creatures ever, the Notion Thief, and a game changer. It's got flash, and if an opponent would draw a card, except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead that player skips that draw and you draw a card yourself. So double whammy. I've talked about the importance of card draw here. Not only are you shutting down an opponent's card draw, but you are getting all the card draw yourself. So the Notion Thief, grand champion, the reigning, undisputed, undefeated champion of Dimir creatures. I absolutely love the Notion Thief. And the best thing about the Notion Thief, let me tell you this, $1.79 right now, right? Like, you can get this card for such an inexpensive rate because it's been reprinted a bunch of times. And this is honestly an auto include in any Dimir deck you are ever going to build. And there's one thing I love, it's cards that are insanely powerful and insanely effective, but also dirt cheap. So there you go. There's your top 10. Let's do a little review because we always do that. I threw a bunch of information at you. First of all, you got your lands. The Shipwreck Marsh, the Drowned Catacomb, the Polluted Delta, the Dark Slick Shores, the Dimir Aqueduct, the Dimir Guildgate, the Morphic Pool, the Undercity Sewers. Again, Murders at Karlov Manor. You want to go buy some collector's packs? Get yourself some Murders at Karlov Manor. Extremely underrated set, although some people are starting to come around to it. The Watery Grave and Underground River. And remember what I said, you can't afford an Underground C. Watery Grave and Underground River are 1A and 1B. Now for a review of our honorable mentions. Satoru the Infiltrator. Fantastic card, all right, for card draw. The Fallen Shinobi, a great way to cast other people's stuff. Whispering Madness. Remember we talked about Narset Parter of Veils? Pair that with a Whispering Madness. You will be the only one at the table drawing cards because Narset will shut everybody else down. Criddle of Baldur's Gate makes something like the Consuming Aberration unblockable. And then the Lord of the Nazgul. You got a lot of instants that card is going to go off. And now for our top 10 of the cards in Dimir. And of course we had the Signet. Of course we had Dominance. I can't tell you again, you might be sleeping on those cards. Maybe you're one of these gatekeeping players that says, hey, I know about these cards. Go check your decks. You'd be surprised. When I went to revamp some of my decks, I was surprised. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I have a lot of commander decks. And there's times I go to build a commander deck, I just don't have these on hand, all right? Like even the Talisman of Dominance, when I go to my Mox field to just check what my cards are, Talisman of Dominance in my decks, I've got 12 of these across my decks, right? I've got a lot of talismans. How many talismans, period? I mean, I'm just going to search up talisman. 47 of my decks have talismans in them. Probably the only ones that don't are monocolored decks, all right? But I was surprised when I went back in my decks how many of them were missing these cards. Don't sleep on these. Include them. Beholder's Fear Ray, Removal, and Counter Magic. Consuming Aberration. It gets absolutely massive as the game goes on. Ring Sight. Do not sleep on tutors. Tutors are major in a game of Commander. The Psychic Frog. Card draw, card draw, card draw, and it makes it really easy to make this unblockable. This is actually a mainstay on my Muldrotha deck because I am a degenerate graveyard player. I am proud of that. The Baleful Strix, an incredible blocker. It acts as removal in a way, and you can draw a card. Absolutely love it. Sig River Cutthroat again. Card draw, card draw, card draw. Whenever you watch any of these videos, and there's a lot of these on Girudo, right? I've filmed a lot of these. I've done white, I've done green, I've done red, I've done blue, I've done black. Card draw is a heavy feature. And on that note, make sure you check out the other videos. If you want to build a Dimir deck, you're going to want to check out the videos on Girudo, the top 10 essential black cards and the top 10 essential blue cards. I didn't include them here. I kept it strictly Dimir, but those obviously will be in there, right? Ashiok, the Dream Renderer, shut down people's tutors, and the hero of the day, the undefeated, the reigning, the undisputed Notion Thief. And there you have it. There's your top 10 Dimir cards. Listen, a couple of things. First of all, thank you for coming to Commanders for Dummies. Thank you for coming to Girudo, where you are never, ever alone. Now, there's so much to learn in this game. I believe we all learn together. If you have some Dimir cards that you love to play with or good experiences, please put them in the comments below. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Subscribe, smash that like button, all of those things. And make sure, again, you check out all the other essential videos. My goal and Girudo's goal is to literally give you every single tool possible to be the best Commander player you can be. So on that note, have yourself an absolutely fabulous day, and I will see you at Girudo.